If you like horror movies with bad acting, boy, do I got a movie for you. What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from the Jersey Shore, and I am back with you today to give you my review of Robert Hiltzich's 1983 cult classic, Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp stars Felissa Rose, Jonathan Tiersten, Karen Fields, and Christopher Collette. So Sleepaway Camp starts off innocent enough. They show a family vacationing out near a lake. Father is out in the water with himself and his two children, a boy and a girl. They're just floating around in the water. In the meantime, there is a guy and a girl riding around in a little motorboat out on the lake. She wants to drive. They're going back and forth. You know, can I drive? Can I drive? So on, whatever. And she's not paying attention to what she's doing, and the motorboat drives directly over the father and both the kids. People are screaming all over the place. You see one kid floating away in the water. Up, you see from the bottom of the water, you see a life preserver come up, completely covered in blood and completely shredded. So the next thing you see, a little bit of time passes, and you see a little girl in a room talking to her aunt. Her aunt's talking about, nobody wants another little boy's not good enough, so on and so forth. She just seems like a regular goofball. And she is the first example in this movie of horrendously bad acting. It is almost like a high school play comes to life. So the next thing you see is Angela, who is the little girl in question here that was talking to the crazy lady. Angela and her cousin Ricky are now going away to summer camp. Ricky's been there before. He knows a lot of the boys. He knows a lot of the girls. He actually mentions that the previous summer there was a girl there that was his love interest. Obviously, well, I don't know how much of a love interest they were. These kids look like they're about 12 years old. So the girl that he used to be involved with is just a nasty little thing. I almost said something I shouldn't say. She's just a nasty little girl. She's not very nice. And she is especially not nice to Angela, Ricky's cousin. So before too long, Angela is coerced into the kitchen, and she's in there with this perverted cook that works at the place. He makes mention of, the little girls out there can never be too young. It's kind of gross. It's pretty disgusting. I don't even think you could put some of the stuff that's in this movie in a movie today and get away with it. So Angela is in this guy's kitchen with him, and Angela doesn't talk, by the way. Angela's in this kitchen. She is being backed up against the wall by this guy as he's unbuckling his belt. He's getting ready to do you-know-what to this little girl, probably, and Ricky comes running into the room and saves her. Very shortly thereafter, the very same cook that was unbuckling his belt is now leaning over a monstrously huge stock pot, probably about the size of a human being. And he's leaning over this pot, and somebody comes up behind him, and all you see is hands grabbing a hold of a stool that he's standing on. Very slowly, you start seeing the hands pulling this stool from underneath of him. Eventually, the whole stool is yanked from underneath of this guy. He falls on the ground. This monstrous, gigantic pot of boiling water falls down all over him. You see him laying on the floor screaming. There's blisters rising off of his face and neck. It's pretty gross. The effects here were pretty cool. The practical makeup, it was pretty cool when that they were able to do this and get this effect back then. This is the stuff I love. No CGI here, ladies and gentlemen. They actually had to make that stuff. It looks as real as could be. It looks real because it is real. It may not actually be a blister, but it's real. It's there. It's made. It's not something that's typed up on a computer. And this is the kind of stuff that happens for the duration of the film. You see somebody being nasty to someone else, suddenly that person winds up dead. At one point there, and here, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I don't even think they could get away with today. There's one scene where there's a whole group of little kids, 6, 7, 8 years old, little children, are messing with somebody in this movie. And before too long, one of the camp directors walks up to where all these kids were sleeping together in sleeping bags, and they're all dead. They were all murdered in the movie. They may not show them get murdered, but they show them after they're murdered. In this day and age, in this society where people are afraid to do anything, you would never see somebody trying to get away with that now. So now you got the cook is dead. You got a whole bunch of kids that are dead. You got like one of the head guys at the camp is dead. Several of the teenagers are dead. All this stuff is going on. They never do show any of these people actually getting murdered. I mean, they show things, but they never show the murderer, I should say. but it really isn't all that hard to figure out who the murderer is. So at the end of the movie, you have one of the most iconic scenes that has ever been in a horror movie throughout the history of horror movies. This movie was god awful. The acting was terrible. Everything about this movie was pretty much garbage, with the exception of a couple practical effects and the ending scene of the movie. So at the end of the movie, Ricky is looking for Angela. They show him walking down on the beach. He's walking up behind Angela, and it's very obvious that she's sitting on the beach stroking something, and she's naked. So from the back, you just see her, and you see her stroking something. And all you see is her naked back. And when he approaches her, she stands up and turns around to reveal that she is holding a head, and she stands up. And this is probably the first full frontal nudity scene that I ever saw in a horror movie in my life. So the camera focuses on Angela's face, and the camera slowly starts to draw back. And as the camera slowly starts to draw back, she's standing there like this. And it reveals that Angela is, in fact, a boy. I think that it is more than safe to say, if you ask any horror movie fan on planet Earth about the movie Sleepaway Camp, if they have seen it, that is the only scene in this movie that they will remember. I have not watched this movie in a pretty good amount of years. When I watched this movie last night, I forgot everything about this movie, including how awful the acting is, except for that scene of her at the end of the movie. Everything about this movie is forgetful. It's very easy to forget everything about this movie, with the exception of that final scene. If you like movies that you have to wait until the final 30 seconds to get the payoff, and for the first hour and 22 and a half minutes, or however long it is, you have to deal with the most god-awful acting that you've ever seen in your life, my God, watch Sleepaway Camp. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me and my review of Sleepaway Camp. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really liked the video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I would love for you to go on this journey with me. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a kick-ass day, and thank you for watching. This was a really bad movie.